you why. Okay. John's mother took his hand. They left their house in the Penny Lane district of Liverpool, England, to go to his new home with Aunt Mimi and Uncle George. His father, a merchant marine, was away at sea. His mother, feeling trapped, didn't want to take care of him. John was only 5 years old. The lyrics to this song are, Mama don't go, Daddy come home. Mama don't go, Daddy come home.
Wait, he was 5 years old, right? Wait, what was his mom again? What did his mom work as?
Yeah, why couldn't, I don't know. Metal pencil.
Why couldn't John?
There's one on the floor over there. For some reason, you guys leave pencils on the floor. They're all over the
Wait,
floor.
why can't?
I can read it to you again?
Yes, please.
John's mother took his hand. They left their house in the Penny Lane district of Liverpool, England, to go to his new home with Aunt Mimi and Uncle George. His father, a merchant marine, was away at sea. His mother, feeling trapped, didn't want to take care of him. He was 5 years old.
At sea means he like worked in like the
He was a marine. Aunt Mimi was caring but strict. No roughhousing, no comics, but her house was filled with books. Uncle George taught John how to read. John loved Lewis Carroll and his funny-sounding rhymes. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy tubs did gyre and gimble in the wave.
Wait,
Who is
slow down
Lewis
for a
Carroll?
second?
Do you guys know? Yes. Pictures to go with them. How wonderful to be a poet or an artist. But Aunt Mimi would never allow it. So John kept his dream a secret. Here are the song lyrics. Everywhere people stare at each other and every day. I can see them laugh at me and I hear them say, hey, you've got to hide your love away.
About his dream.
Sure. This is the song to hide your love away.
Wait.
Aunt Mimi was caring but strict, no roughhousing, no comics, but her house was filled with books. John wrote his own stories and drew pictures to go with them, and how wonderful to be a poet or an artist. But Aunt Mimi would never allow it, so John kept his dream a secret.
So his dream was being a
Please don't call out. Try your best, and we'll go over it together.
Can you
Thank
read it again?
Okay. When John was 16, his mother came back into his life. A musical craze called skiffle was sweeping Liverpool then. John wanted a guitar. Aunt Mimi said no. That Aunt Mimi. His mother bought him a banjo.
Can you slow down, please?
Okay, guys, enjoy the story and we will go over the answers together.
Oh.
Okay?
So we don't write the answers?
Not if you're going to interrupt the story.
Okay.
Because
so
right
don't
now,
write the
I've planned this lesson, and you are interrupting it every step of the way. Why don't you just enjoy it, and we'll go over it together. Okay? Okay. John was 16. His mother came back into his life. A musical craze called skiffle was sweeping Liverpool then. John wanted a guitar. Aunt Mimi said no. His mother bought him a banjo. John formed his own band. Sailors brought back records from America. Little Richard rattling the piano, whooping, hooting, and howling. Chuck Berry, poet of rock, singing upward slides. And Elvis Presley, the king, wailing, groaning, growling, singing of heartbreak and loneliness. Feelings John had, but was too afraid to share. I'm going to reread this paragraph real quick. Sailors brought back records from America. Little Richard rattling the piano, whooping and hooting and howling. Chuck Berry, poet of rock, singing upward slides. And Elvis Presley, the king, wailing, groaning, growling, singing of heartbreak and loneliness. Feelings John had, but was too afraid to share. Rock and roll, grabbing John's heart. A driving beat shaking his being. A revolution of rhythm and sound. It changed the world. It changed John Lennon. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. What is the genre that is
Rock and roll.
great. So what was the genre that was rock and roll was sweeping the nation, right? So what else did John Lennon do as a 16-year-old?
He wanted a guitar, got a banjo, and started.
Who gave him the banjo?
His mom.
Who wouldn't let him have a guitar?
His mom.
Aunt Mimi.
She's
That's
a mean
right.
one.
Aunt Mimi? Yeah, we'll talk about Aunt Mimi. What do you think? Because they say... Hi.
Do you have the key to the art closet?
No.
Sorry, I was never.
Okay. So, let's go back to this page because it starts talking about Aunt Mimi. It says Aunt Mimi was caring but strict. Okay?
Aunt Mimi had mixed emotions.
So I think we have some mixed emotions with Aunt Mimi. Because at the same time, she was the one that was there for him, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when John turns 16, his mother comes back into his life.
I think she got mad. Okay, never mind.
What?
I think she got like mad because jealous because his mom came back.
Aunt Mimi may have gotten jealous because she had been doing all the hard work, right? That's totally possible.
And his mom can just waltz back in.
Yeah, she's waltzing back in. Okay, at a gig, John met Paul McCartney, who could play guitar upside down, while John knew only 2 chords. John asked him to join the group, and they started writing songs. They made up a melody and sang it over and over until they knew it by heart. They worked on the lyrics. John wrote 1 line. Paul wrote another. Not long after, John's mother died. It hurt too much to cry. Mother, you had me, but I never had you. That's a line in one of his songs. What do you think that means? Mother, you had me, but I never had you. What do you think, Lennon?
Well, I could never be there for you, but you were always there for me, kind of. And that I never...
I would say the other way around.
Yeah.
He always... And when it says you had me, what does that mean?
Like, you loved me and cared for me.
You gave birth to me. You gave birth to me, but I never had you around in my life. Only, you bought me a banjo, and you came back after years of my life.
After 11 years.
Yeah, after 11 years, right? Okay.
Wait, could you...
John went to art school, but all he dreamed of was rock and roll. Aunt Mimi told him he could never make a living as a guitarist. What do you guys think about Aunt Mimi saying that? Why do you think she's saying this, Trace?
Maybe she doesn't want him to have his dream, or maybe she didn't get her dream when she was younger, and so she wants him to have the same plan.
So you think she's doing it as a punishment? Or to be because she's jealous? You think it's just because she's mean? What other reasons would there be to not want someone to become an artist?
Maybe because there's no, I don't really know how to say this, but there's no, exact chance. You're not 100% going to make it in the music business.
True.
What year was this?
If
True.
you just wanted to, if you're doing art or something, there's a higher chance of being able to make more money and making a living.
Totally. That's such a good point. So it could be out of concern that Aunt Mimi is saying, listen, I don't want you to struggle and be like one of those people dealing with homelessness on the street because they tried to pursue their dreams. You need to be more practical, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like Aunt Mimi isn't very artistic. Would
No,
you
she's
say?
realistic.
She's realistic. She's not so much artistic. George Harrison, who played guitar better than either John or Paul, joined the group. Keep that in mind. Check an answer.
George Harrison?
George Harrison. Does anyone know what instrument George Harrison played?
Violin.
He played guitar, but there are 2 different kinds of guitar. There is
Electric.
rhythm guitar, which is the chords. We've been learning rhythm guitar. Then there's the kind of guitar that goes.
Electric.
That's called lead guitar,
Lead.
where you do all the solos and riffing. Who do you think George was?
Lead.
He was the lead. Yeah. He does all the riffs. Okay. They played in smoky nightclubs, dressed in black leather and Texas cowboy boots. Throw the mic around, lie down on the floor, shout, jump, stomp, sing. My heart went boom when I crossed that room. So this song actually is one of their earlier. This is them when they just first got started. Now, Kiana, you also asked, when is all this taking place? It's taking place in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
I was thinking that because I'm like, there was a time where like music was really hard, like that was a really big deal. So that's why I was like saying maybe that's what she didn't want to do.
Yeah. So the Beatles get together in like 1968, I believe. It might have been 1958. Because they were together for a long time.
What happens?
Let me check that again. But I know that it's like transitioning in between the 50s and 60s. And this kind of music, this rock and roll music kind of originates from church music.
I want to make this clear.
Like
That doesn't sound
gospel
like rock
music?
This rock music is like a bit like.
This is early rock music.
And like real rock music and like the band Kiss or something. Both of them are real.
Well, the band Kiss came out like 30 years after this.
Yeah, but like this sounds like regular.
Okay. The Beatles recorded John and Ringo's songs with a new drummer, Ringo Starr.
Knew it.
That's another person?
Yeah,
Ringo Starr is who?
How do you spell
Drummer.
that? Drummer.
Don't worry about spelling. Just try to spell it. Ringo Starr. Starr is actually with 2 R's in
But it only has
his last
2
name.
people.
Paul McCartney.
Yeah, because we already know about John and Paul.
So that's it?
You need to know the other 2. Who are the other 2 in the band?
John and
George
Harrison
Harrison
and
and
Ringo
Ringo
Starr.
Okay.
Thank you, Dad.
Well, she looked at me and I could see that before too long I'd fall in love with her. Love, love me do, you know I love you. Wham! One hit single after another. 1, 2, 3 gold albums. Top of the charts, top of the world, and only 24 years old. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, how old were they when they all were in the band together and their music started
24.
taking off? They were John Lennon was 24. Beatlemania swept the world. Have you guys ever seen videos of all the like women being like, ah!
No.
When they're coming out of the plane? Beatlemania swept the world. The Beatles, their music was like nothing ever heard before. And it was this kind of stuff. This was the stuff that they were obsessed with.
Like the One Direction back then.
Yeah. Okay.
Four Direction.
Wherever the Beatles went, flashbulbs popped. Reporters shouted questions. Fans screamed and shrieked and fought with police to get close enough to touch them. Wherever they performed, before John sang his first word, the screaming was so loud he couldn't hear George or Paul or Ringo play, and the fans couldn't hear them either. What's the point of having a concert if we can't even hear the music?
Exactly. They need some microphones.
Say
They
you're
have them.
looking for a place to go where nobody knows your name, with one eye on the Hall of Fame. That's one of the lyrics from one of his songs.
Oh, that they were.
So, think about you guys when you guys were doing group testing.
Oh no.
How is it possible for you guys to play in sync? If you were playing Bellyache or someone was singing for you, how could you guys play on beat if you can't even hear the music because everybody's screaming? Just picture that, right?
No.
Okay.
know how much beats are in the song.
John soon felt suffocated by fame and trapped. Now married with a son. He moved his family to London, hoping he would be happier. He wasn't. He tried everything, hoping they'd push his bad feelings away. They didn't. He studied meditation in India, hoping to find inner peace. He couldn't. Help me if you can. I'm feeling down, and I do appreciate you being around. Help me get my feet back